I really had to think about this topic a lot. Haven't made a video in a while because I've been, well, it's a conglomerate of things, right? It's me being pretty busy, me studying for promotion testing, me trying to buy a house, and of course me trying to think about current situations, having conversations with friends, you know, and family regarding really everything that's happening. And I do sincerely believe that we have a problem with morality, and I think people's baselines of morality, or whatever, you know, their structural base of ethics and codes and things they hold to be true. I think the vast majority of people don't have a solid foundation. And, you know, you can see it resembled in lots of other fields, right? A good example is with religion. I'm not saying you have to be religious to have a good moral foundation, but religion is a pretty damn good indicator of at least strong religious ties with any culture is a pretty good indicator of having a strong moral foundation with any civilization. Obviously, law is important, civility is important, but for almost every civilization that you can pretty much record, religion has always been the forefront for providing and endorsing a strong foundation for a code of ethics, let's say. And I think it's dwindling in our modern society, and you could see it on both sides. You can see it on, you know, those who respect civilization, and you can see it on those who would, let's say, want to revolutionize civilization because they think it's corrupt and it's unfair and there's too much power. And the thing is, as with almost every single controversial topic, right, both sides are right. Some obviously may argue one side is more right than the other, but I don't think that's the point. Excuse me. I think the point is, dude, we don't have a good foundation, regardless. Like, our actual baseline for ethics and codes, and even regulations and rules in our society, and the types of things that people can get away with, the types of things that those who enforce, you know, certain rules, and I'm not just talking about the police, I'm actually talking about all government officials, because I've really delved into this, and I don't think it's a policing problem, or let's say I don't think it's just a policing problem. A lot of people say it's a society problem. It is societal, but the solutions that people are offering are absolutely ridiculous to solve it. Like, getting rid of society as a whole, that's a ridiculous notion, and we've tried that in the 20th century multiple times, and it's led to genocides, death and despair, starvation, famines, droughts, regression. I don't think getting rid or destroying societal norms is the solution, nor do I believe revolutionizing it is the solution. It takes amendments, it takes small changes. I had a discussion with my on my team that I work with on a day-to-day basis, and we were discussing, well, basically it was about workplace environment and do you feel comfortable, but of course the underlying discussion was racism and classism, which, yeah, you know, there's no denying there's racism in this country, and there's no denying that there is some sort of established classism. You can find it, you know, some way in some chain of this really complex society, but I really don't believe that's our primary problem. The racism, yeah, it's terrible. The classism is terrible, but I think the underlying foundation to which all is founded upon, to which you can even deduce racism or classism, I think the actual foundation is, I think it's aged, and it hasn't aged very well. I'm not saying people should go back to being religious, or we should come to terms with, you know, what we used to work in the past or how things worked, because you can't do that, because we live in a different time zone. You can't go back to what used to work. You can't go back to, you know, you can't go back to the 60s in 2020. That's ridiculous, especially with all the technology we have, all the advancements, you know, the findings that we've discovered. A lot of people say that is the solution as well. Let's go back to the 60s, everything was better. Maybe it was better for their time period, but not necessarily for ours. I think there needs to be some amendments, but we can't conduct a full revolution, because within that process of revolutionizing, we're going to destroy the parts and pieces of the foundation that is wholesome and true. And at the end of the day, I think that's what every human being should strive for. It's truth. We should all strive for truth. We should all strive for meaning, good foundation. Racism, classism, that's never gonna, unfortunately, that's never gonna go away. I don't think so. We could revamp a new system, but humans are humans. It doesn't matter whether you're a capitalistic society, a socialistic society, or, you know, a communist society. Humans are humans. We're all gonna have inherent biases, and there's too many of us living together one by one for there to not exist any sort of biases. That's a ridiculous assumption, and that's a very, very optimistic approach to solving problems. Thinking you can eradicate classism or racism, that's just too optimistic. I don't think that's the way. I think we need to make amendments, but at a small rate. And over the course of time, continually making amendments. Everyone wants change now. Everyone wants change now. It's the same thing as looking, you know, look at the self-help community. Everyone wants to get rich now. Everyone wants to get thin and fit now. That's never the correct solution. And even if you do manage to get rich now, or somehow like lose a ton of pounds, you haven't established those core, you know, those core habits, that core discipline. And I think that's what we're lacking in our society. I don't think it exists just in the Occidental societies. I think it's a worldwide problem. Of course, every culture is different, but I believe human morals and ethics to be universal and true, no matter what religion, no matter what culture, no matter what race or language you speak. There are just undeniable truths with being a human being. I think we should all follow that. It took me a long time to think about that. I didn't have a script. It was just all jumbled in my head. And yeah, there it is. That's what I think about the situation. Sorry it took a while, but hey, you should come around with me sometime. Let's talk.